All right, we're rolling.
All right, awesome. Well, konnichiwa, minasan. We have ourselves
Konnichiwa.
another half day.
Yeah.
Rafa-san, genki desu ka?
はい、元気です。
いや、よかったね。俺も元気ですよ。
そうだ
So,
ね。
um, getting into it, we're going through some particle exercises. I thought about turning this into like a combined thing so that we could practice more with the like verb conjugation and stuff like that, but I figured for now at least it'd be best to just focus on particles since the last handful of days has really been honing in on that.
That's true.
So I've got a handful of questions written out here. If we have a little bit of extra time, I'm sure we could figure out something to do. But before we hop into these exercises, I figured we'd do a little bit of review. I wrote out just a very short snippet rules for all of the particles that we've been using so far. So we can just go into that real quick. Like I can
Okay.
probably zoom in a little bit. I mean, come over here. Um, and we'll just go down the list. I don't. There's not really any particular order to this at all.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so the OG one that we've been working with since the very beginning has been the wa particle.
Hmm.
It has always been used to identify what the topic of the conversation is, right?
Right.
And because we're trying to reduce as many redundancies as possible, often we don't end up saying the topic and like topic wa, right?
Hmm.
In conversation, this is really just happening if you're trying to specify something or change what you're talking about, obviously. But if you're having a conversation about the same ideas, then you're going to find yourself not really using this too often.
Yeah.
But it's still there. We need to make sure that we know that you know whether it's physically or ephemerally present, there's probably a somewhere lurking around, right?
There's always a wall within, a little Waluigi hiding
Yeah.
in all of us.
So yeah, there's that. Sometimes people will refer to another usage of it as like the contrast marker,
Hmm.
but conceptually speaking, like or functionally speaking, it doesn't really do too much to the sentence, in my opinion. So I don't really talk about it in that way.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I feel like that
yeah,
only raises more questions for me at least.
yeah, exactly. Now the God particle has there's ways that you can categorize it, but because we haven't used Ga with everything, I just mentioned some of the specific use cases of when we want to use it.
Hmm.
Um, so the first one that we have here is that it's like used with these like conceptual verbs. This will make more sense when you learn more of them. Um, but like with like knowledge verbs like wakaru, and things like existing, aru, we want to use ga instead of like something like o
Okay.
to
Where it's like a
refer
tangible
what we're
object.
using. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because like we wouldn't say like Nihongo o wakarimasu. That uses ga.
Okay.
I usually say that like it's is sometimes easier just to remember which verbs use ga versus try to categorize it like this. But eventually, when you have enough in your repertoire, you can start recognizing that this is kind of how it's grouped up.
Okay. There is indeed a pattern to these.
Hmm.
Okay.
There's a better explanation out there on the interwebs about this kind of categorization because, like, ironically, with narao to learn, we don't use this. We don't use ga there, but um, and that's why it's like maybe just keep track of which word uses it.
Okay.
That's always been what I've done.
Every
Yeah,
grammar rule has its exceptions, right?
yeah. Um, so then the next place that we'll use it is with like question words, with like asking specific questions. So it's like, I didn't write an example here, like a full example, but it'd be like, uh, you know, 誰が一緒に行きますか? Like, who is going to be going with us?
Mhm.
And a reply would be like, Sato-san ga ikimasu, right? Like, Sato-san is.
Okay.
Um, in this kind of a case, it is replacing the topic marker, and that is kind of a use case with these questions. There's once again a larger categorization as to why, but um, we won't really get too deep into that there.
Okay.
The next sort of isolated use case for it is to mean but, like as a conjunction. We've
Hmm.
seen this pretty plainly used, like in between sentences, like I do this, or like I didn't do this, but I did this instead, or I'm sorry, but it's just that ga. That's what's doing there.
Okay.
Just hanging out, having a good time. Very very basic. There's not really anything further to say from here or say about this one.
Okay.
Sorry, I need some
Rewinding right
water.
quick. I had a
Okay.
question on the other with like the dade. I feel like, and this could be a thing where just like my ears weren't tuned to it, but I feel like I've heard dade ka before with like a K sound instead of a G.
Hmm.
Is that ever a thing?
That is absolutely a thing.
Okay.
I don't believe it'll show up here, but when you throw in ka after a question words, a lot of times that is used to indicate like something or someone, somewhere, sometime, etc. Some whatever that question is.
Okay.
It is the same concept that we've been using the mole after a
Mm.
question word to mean like nothing. The same
Okay.
exact idea. Um, yeah, that
Okay.
hasn't like really been used a lot. I don't know if they've explicitly brought it out in Akamonkai, which is why I haven't included it here.
Yeah,
But you
I don't
probably
think
have heard that.
it's come up, but I feel like I've come across it, and I was second guessing
Hmm.
myself. I'm like, am I mishearing it? You know?
Nah,
Okay.
probably not, because that
Okay.
is absolutely a thing. Yep. And then the last use case for ga that I believe we have covered so far is using ga when we use adjectives like verbs. So like
Mm.
ski desu, kirai desu, daisuki, daikirai, so on.
Hmm.
We will use ga instead of o in those instances. So like sushi ga ski desu, and we would not say sushi o suski desu.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions for how we're using ga for now?
I think seeing it enumerated out like this, I think we're good. I don't think
Cool.
I had the like filter for like conceptual verbs do it like this. Um, but I think it is helpful to have that written out somewhere to look at.
Hmm. Gotcha. Cool. All right. Moving on is the ol particle. It is so ironic that to me this is like the most one of the most basic ones because it
Hmm.
really just does one thing, and it is the one that we still kind of get hung up on a lot. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can iron that out today.
Okay.
But this really just has this one function, which is identifying that direct objects. In other words, it's the object we're doing an action to. So I wrote an example like sushi o taberu. The
Hmm.
the thing that we are eating is the sushi, and so the o is identifying that's what we're eating.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah.
I might be inclined to make this error. I think probably just like the chunk of Duolingo that I'm like messing with frequently. Like the words will come up and they'll be like, "Okay, what goes here?" I'm like, "Well, there's this like space here and that O seems to fit nicely and it'll just work." So it is kind of
Yeah.
a default at the moment. And maybe it's just like the particular subjects that are being covered it makes sense to have that there, but I should probably be more conscious about where I'm putting it.
Yeah, it's interesting that like that hasn't really been enough to kind of like create an instinct for you with using old particle.
Hmm.
So maybe we'll be able to identify what that's about as we do this particle exercise.
Okay.
But yeah, this is there's nothing else ol is used for, so that's all you need to know about it.
Okay.
Excuse me. Toll is also a pretty simple one. For now, it really just means like and or with something. So like the example I have here is like Nihongo toll Chugokugo, so Japanese and Chinese, right?
Okay.
Just kind of like a conjunction.
All right.
This is not universally used as and like we have in English. There's a lot of other ways that we need to manipulate things in order to do so, but specifically with nouns, I should mention that.
Okay.
I'll just add a little note here. Exclusive use with nouns. Yeah, because you would not use this with verbs to connect like I eat and drink. You wouldn't use this with adjectives, um, adverbs. It's just nouns.
Okay. sometimes like I feel like I'm pretty comfortable thinking of like to as like the conjunction unit, if you would. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I feel like I've like hit like a particle limit, if you would, where I'm like, does this toe like replace another particle, or does it still show up? Is
Mm.
that ever really a thing where it's like we need a particle here, or we need multiple, or is it just like
Yeah, there are
yeah?
compound particle usages.
Okay,
They haven't really explained when to do so. It'll actually show up here briefly in one of the sentences,
okay,
and I'll discuss it there. But told I like told largely doesn't get used as a compound particle though.
okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Moving on to no. No is also a fairly basic one. I feel like I've made a kind of mistake in the past of usually just describing it as a means to show possession,
Yeah, I feel
and
like that
trying
is
to,
the first thing I conceptualize when I think of it. And maybe that's not wrong,
yeah,
but continue.
that's usually like the first thing that's brought up with it because it's like, so and so's umbrella, so and so's car,
Hmm.
whatever, right? But I've tried to like extrapolate that to mean other things when it's really just easiest to kind of treat it that it is the particle you use to have nouns describe another noun.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So like
this is a great
in
example.
like Nihongo no Binkyou,
Hmm.
it's not that studies are possessed by Nihongo, but it is the studies are being described that they're Japanese, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like
So
listening back to
there's
like other like study sessions we've had. I can think of times where I'm like, would I say that that belongs to this? And it's exactly this idea, and I'm like, is that the way to say that?
Yeah, because like we don't have another way of conjugating a noun to treat it like an adjective as if
Hmm.
it was like a e or a non-adjective. So this is just what we do instead. Yeah, that's
Okay.
all it is. Um, with the mole particle, the first way that this is introduced is to mean like also or to. I didn't write out an example here, but we'll definitely see a lot of this used with it. Um, it is I'll bring up something else later. Moving on to the next bit. This is what I was talking about with the ka with a question word.
Okay.
But mole can be added after a question word to turn it into like none of that thing. So
Okay.
like nani on its own means like what, but nani mo means nothing.
Hmm.
Dare on its own is like who, but dare mo means no one.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing when mole is used, though, that you need to be careful about is that if it is going to have this like nothing meaning to it, the verb is probably, or the verb will be negative
Okay.
because, like, as an example, itsumo means all the time,
Hmm.
right? It can do the same thing of meaning never, but when it means always or all the time, the verb will be positive, and when it's never, it will be negative.
Like in both
Um,
instances of that, is itsumo the word in question?
yes,
Okay.
there are other ways, like specifically with itsumo, there are other ways that we can say all like never. Like I think it's been introduced to say like zen zen
Yes.
instead. So like that's one way you can kind of avoid it, but it doesn't mean itsumo doesn't mean double negatives. Sorry. This doesn't mean that itsumo will always mean always,
Okay.
right? So you just have to pay attention to the verb tense, and that will help inform you of which one it's trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions with mole?
I think I think I'm good at the moment.
Okay. Um, moving on to our last two.
Hmm.
Ni is the one that we have probably a lot of different cases
Yeah.
to use it with, right? Um, and this is where it'll get kind of tricky to start parsing. like one, when to use it, and two, like what it's trying to say based off of what it's tied to,
Hmm.
and that is going to be contextual, right? But the first way that we have it is to identifying like destination. In Akamonkai, they've always used e as the particle instead. Just as a reminder, that is usually based off of like formality.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny. Like one of the immediate things I remember is like in a later episode of Attack on Titan. I think it's like Mikasa is speaking to someone using the like honorific style of speaking, keigo,
Hmm.
and like she uses in those sentences.
Okay.
And I don't know why that stood out to me. Probably because it's like she changes how she spoke
Like it
based
was
off
like
of
a
who she's
character
talking
moment
to.
where she's like, "Oh, for them they get honorifics."
Yeah, it's like yeah, shows the like the relationship like hierarchy kind of a thing
Hmm.
that definitely exists in the Japanese language. But yeah, that was like one of those cases where this felt prominent to me. But for us common folk, it's pretty common to just use ni instead of e. But
Okay.
you'll be fine saying either or.
All right. And he is the more polite version in this use case, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Next one is for like identifying like a specific time. So we use this with like the G counter for like o'clock, right?
Hmm.
Um, with doyobi, like doyobi and kurisumasu stuff that like aren't like numbered time stuff. It's optional. Um, I largely do end up using ni there, but it's not exactly necessary. It just
Okay.
I don't know. In my brain, it helps keep things on the rails a little bit more for my
I
mind to keep
I
track
think I
of.
feel the same way because I'm like there are days associated with those, right? So it makes sense to me that way.
What do you mean?
Like
Like,
Christmas is a specific day, right? And usually, if you're talking about Saturday, it's not any general Saturday. It's a Saturday with a numerical date associated with it, right?
yeah, exactly. I think in those instances, it definitely makes more sense to use ni. But
Mm-hmm.
like as an example, if you were just talking about Christmas in general, sometimes this might be the topic,
Mm,
right?
right.
So we wouldn't need ni. But if we're talking about last year's Christmas, that's fairly specific, pretty
Okay.
more specific. Yeah, I think in one of the examples that they had in Akamonkai, they used like kyonen no kurisumasu ni, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's part of why I put that in here explicitly. But conversely, when it's like the general time frames, we don't need a particle there. So like mainichi, kyo for like today, kino in
Hmm.
general, we don't need that.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, in the last handful of episodes, they've introduced they're almost the same thing, but they're just a little bit different. But we use ni to identify who is receiving something.
The
So
destination
in this one,
of the gift, if you would.
yeah, exactly. So like the example here is like Takeshi-san ni ageru, like I'll give it, whatever it is to Takeshi. And it is also used with like oshieru, which is like to teach. So
Mm,
Takeshi-san ni oshieru, I'll teach Takeshi. I'm
okay.
giving him the knowledge, I guess.
That's how I was conceptualizing it.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, with like receiving verbs, it is used to identify who is giving you the thing, right?
Okay.
So with morau to receive, the example here is like Takeshi-san ni moraimashita. I received it from Takeshi.
Okay. And it's
Yeah.
mostly the same practice, with the only distinction being like the verb used in this case.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing functionally, identifying the person, right?
Hmm.
But it's just like directionally based off of the verb.
Hmm.
So you can kind of treat them as two different functions, but in my brain, I still kind of categorize them together.
Okay.
But yeah, whichever makes more sense. So that's why I had
Okay.
both.
Cool.
Yeah, and the last one that we'll get into is de. The first way that we've discussed using it is for identifying the location. So like, I don't know, koen de sakka shimasu. So I played soccer at the park,
Hmm.
right? pretty straightforward there. And then more recently, it's been used to say like by means of. So
Right. Like there
first
was that
example,
hand sushi, I think, in the last call.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Te de taberu, eat using hands. Kuruma de iku, I will go by car. Um, in either uh the last recording or the one before that, this was used with like language. So when we asked like, how do you say this in Japanese? We
That's
use
right.
de here. Um, I didn't know really how to separate explaining that from the means of,
Hmm.
because in my brain it follows the same logic, but in those specific cases we would use de to say what the language it is, right?
Okay.
I can just make a note. Um, identify. Let me move my keyboard over. I have it in my gaming configuration, so I'm having
Gamer
to like
mode.
move my right arm all the way over to yeah to type. Okay, this is better. Uh, I don't have a great way of describing this, so I'll just have to put an example. Um,
It's funny because like
what it
the programming chunk of my brain is like, well, language you kind of do use that with. If you're like, how do I do that in C? Right? It's like, well, it's kind of the same like tool logic, right?
yeah. Um, what's a word that you would ask about? Like, what is this in Japanese?
Um, what's a I was gonna say spoon, but I'm like, that's probably a bad example. Controller.
Yeah,
Let's say.
not a great
I'm
example.
just looking at what's at my
Hmm.
desk.
Let's see here.
That might still
I
be a
think this
bad
is
example.
controller. Yeah, controller. But I
Con-
mean, still a valid question.
yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
guess it's still fair to be like, well, you'd use a loan word.
still got to know,
Hmm.
right? De. Um, yeah, so I'm not going to spend too much time in it because there's not a ton of examples of this and it hasn't been introduced in Akamonkai.
Hmm.
But sometimes certain particles can replace others, sometimes they cannot. So ga is often going to be replacing ol or wa in a lot of
Okay.
sentences. Mol will be replacing ol or wa, like just straight up, right? You're not needing to do any compound stuff. But there are some times when you need to use multiple particles.
Mhm.
So, um, like in if I were to say like I didn't go anywhere, nowhere on its own would be doko mo.
Okay.
But I wouldn't just say doko mo ikimasen deshita. I would say doko ni mo ikimasen
Dokonimo.
deshita.
Okay. And at
Yeah.
that point, I imagine the order does matter. Like you couldn't say dokomo
Yeah.
ni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Um, yeah, there's just one example of that throughout like this exercise. That is a thing. Maybe it'll pop back up soon, and we can kind of rehash that and go into it a little bit more detail. But that concept does exist.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that's all of the refresher that I had prepared before we start doing some sentences. Do you need any clarifications for something? Do you have any questions as we went along the way?
I think I'm good on questions, but if you have the
Okay.
technology, would you be able to like screenshot the table off to the side as an individual file? And in that case, it's fine to like make it like if you need
Just
to
for
zoom out.
your case for now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to have it on
Okay.
reference, because I'm sure we'll scroll over to the opposite end of the screen.
Sure. It's gonna send it as a PDF,
Yeah,
but
perfect, perfect. All right,
yeah,
thank
and I
you.
can upload this and expand on it in its own Google Docs page
Okay,
uh, for reference, and then and that way I can also include some more examples and better explanations, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. I won't turn my nose up at that.
Cool. Probably should have started with some more water. I'm almost almost through the whole thing. Either way, So let's go ahead and get rolling through this. Is the are the sentences legible
Yeah,
enough?
yeah, I can read them all enough.
Okay. Yeah. We're not going to be worrying about conjugation. Almost all of these are going to be particles. There are a couple of places where they're not, but they're like particle adjacent, so I included them.
Okay,
Um, and hopefully they'll come to mind once we get there. But yeah, let's just go through it.
okay,
1番お願いします。
all right. Nihon blank inu blank ski desu. I'm gonna think inu ga ski desk is probably what we're doing.
はい。そうですね。
Okay,
犬が好きです。
and then am I describing this as a Japanese dog?
Yeah, that was my intention.
Okay, all right. Would that be no in this case?
はい。正解です。
All right,
日本の犬が好きです。
okay, which is true.
Yeah, it is a fact,
Yeah, it
certifiable
is a fact.
fact.
I like the coil on the tail. I like it. Um,
This isn't wrong, but just like as an example, if this were to be wa, this would obviously change the meaning of our sentence to be like
right.
Japan, they love dogs there.
Hmm. Which is
Not wrong, but
also true. Yeah.
just a different sentence. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. はい、2番お願いします。
All right. Watashi, and I'm gonna think wa, but we'll revisit that.
はい。
All right. Watashi wa imoto um imoto blank imasen blank ototo blank imas. Hold on, let me before I tackle the other sentence in there, let me work through that.
Mhm.
Imoto imasen. Are we trying to say that we didn't go to our sisters?
Imasen is the negative form of iru, which is like to exist for people and
Oh,
animals.
okay. So I'm saying I don't have a sister.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Um, imoto.
はい、これ
Hmm.
はがですよ。
Imoto ga. I guess would like a sister be a conceptual object? Is that no, that's just for
Um,
verbs, right?
I mean, yeah, it's like maybe I'm gonna, maybe I should, since we don't have a ton of other words that this is necessarily used here. I'm just gonna say use with specific verbs
Okay.
and just leave it at that, so we don't have to get that too tripped
Yeah,
up.
it's part of the filtering process, if you would. Um. Oh, I'm using it as like but here is what's happening, right?
はい。
Okay. Watashi wa imoto ga imasen. And this is this is not one of the cases where it's something other than a particle. This is within the table, if you would.
Yeah, this is within the table.
Okay. Imasen. There's one for like but. What is that? No. We just did that. We just did that.
I mean, that is what's going here.
Okay.
You might be trying to test take your way through this a little too hard
Oh, okay. So I
because
just use
it's
ga again.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Watashi wa imoto ga imasen. You know, I think like in my mind, like imoto and imasen, I'm like they visually look similar. So I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying sister twice. That's not what's happening, but somehow in my mind I'm like it
Yeah.
has to be different cuz otherwise I'm repeating myself. Um anyway, um ototo imas. So there a father exists or I have a father. Um Not father,
This one's a
excuse me.
younger brother.
Not the younger brother, which I am. Um Ototo.
So what would we put here?
Thinking. This is still the same sentence, right? And we
Yeah.
already have a topic marker, so we don't necessarily need to put that there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, would it make sense to like would you use this as similar to like an also? Like would mole make sense here?
No, because like if you were to say this in English, it's like I don't have a sister, but I also have a brother,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that wouldn't work
Okay.
either. So
All right. What am I trying to say in English? I guess I should start there. Watashi wa imoto ga imasen ga. I don't have a sister, um, but I have a brother. Oh,
Mhm.
am I test taking too hard again here? Is it
You are
ga again?
absolutely.
Huh?
It's ga.
Okay. Shoot, man.
It is
You're in
ga.
my head. uh okay. Imas. Ani. And I guess same deal here. I do have one. Ga imas.
Yeah, this is where it makes more sense to use a slightly different particle,
Okay.
or not slightly, but a different particle.
Okay. Um. Ani. w- Does it make? No, never mind. I was gonna say, does it make sense to think of it as like ownership of like I have a brother, but I think we explicitly talked about this once. Um, is is he the topic in this case?
No, so
Okay,
we're still the topic.
okay. The implicit
This
implicit
one,
bits.
yeah.
Okay.
This one's going to be more.
Well, okay. Yeah. I was because I this is an also scenario in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like I don't have a sister, but I have a younger brother. I also have an older brother.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's following the same um like I don't know if tone's the right word, but the same sentiment, right? Of like having something. So it
Hmm.
would make sense to describe this in addition.
Right, and they're both brothers in this case, so you can do an also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of how I tried to group it
Yeah.
up there to make using mold there seem a little bit more
Yeah,
apparent.
that
Yeah.
that makes sense. I was slowly getting there, but it was not immediate. Far from it. All right. Um.
And yeah, do you mind reading this full thing for me?
Yeah. Watashi wa imoto ga imasen ga ototo ga imasu. Ani mo imasu.
はい。はい。はい。次3番で
All
す。
right. Mainichi blank. Um. Tai te. Taite.
はい。大抵。
Taite. Kohi. No. Wait. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. コーヒー。
Um. Kohi. Blank. Um. Mizu. Probably Kohi to Mizu, but we'll see. Um. Blank. Nomimas. Okay. Every day. Taide. What is taide?
大抵 is usually.
Okay. Okay. Taite. I mean, yeah, that's true. Mainichi. And Mainichi is not specific enough of a time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um. What else do we use there? What else do we use? Shoot. I don't know if you could feel my eyes scanning across the sheet right now.
Yeah,
Um.
that won't help because
Okay.
it's
It's a blank. All right.
it's just a blank.
Okay.
Oop. Yeah, no
E-
particle needed here.
okay. Every day. Usually. I drink coffee and water.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mima,
Got one last blank.
mizu, kohi to mizu. Oh, this has a verb that's acting on it is what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um that is we're doing an action too. That's o. Mizu
はい。
o nomimasu.
はい。正解です。はい。全部読んでください。Could you read it all?
Yeah. 毎日炊いてコーヒーと水を飲みます。
はい。OK。次、4番。
All right. 去年 blank. Um, I'm struggling here a bit. Is that Sue at the start?
This is a ku.
Ku. Kuri. Oh, probably Christmas.
はい。
Kurismasu. Um, blank. Tomodachi. Blank. Is that Gemu?
This is room.
Rumu. Okay, I saw the moo and I was like, okay, let's figure that out. Probably roommate. Roommate.
はい。
Uh,
はい。
blank. Presento. Blank. Agemashita. Blank. Dare blank. Blank. Dare blank. Nani blank. Mo rai masen deshita. Okay.
Yeah, this is a oops, sorry. Ah, this is part of the word below it.
Okay.
It just kind of cut off there.
Morai masen deshita. Okay. Um, Kyonin last year. Um, that's is that specific enough? I think so.
Yeah, this can
I think so.
go a couple of ways. Like this combination here can
Okay.
go a couple of ways.
All right.
Well, I guess it's really just this one,
All
but
right. So let's say we're gonna put a knee there to at least start my thinking off, and then I guess that'll probably influence what I do next.
right.
Um.
Well, it wouldn't be knee. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. All right. Well, heck.
Yeah,
Um.
this would be a little too general.
Okay. Last year, Christmasu. Would would it then make sense to put knee here if I'm now
Hi.
like last Christmas?
Hi.
Okay. 去年クリスマスに友達 last Christmas 去年クリスマス is there something needed there?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll put something here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Um let me think. Is it safe to think of it as like would day make sense as like a position in time?
Well, we don't use de to mean
Okay, okay.
to refer to time, though. Yeah.
All right. Right thought wrong particle. Where do we do that then?
And our knee here is already kind of identifying
It's
like when this is taking
the
place.
relative location. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kyonen. Would it make sense to think of it as like last year's Christmas, like possessive, if you would?
Yeah, that is definitely what I was originally thinking
Okay, okay.
of. So what would that be?
No, in that case. Kyonen
Hey,
no Christmasu ni tomodachi. That could be the subject. Let's see. Um, roommate. Well, I guess maybe that. Tomodachi. How am I describing my roommate? Am I saying my
yeah. So
friend's roommate?
here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do first.
Okay.
So a couple of different ways that this could go is it could be like kyonen, like wa Christmas ni.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we keep it at no, what is going to be happening here is kind of like an implicit. This is kind of what I was imagining. watashi wa.
Okay. Watashi wa.
So yeah, we'll leave it like this just to make it clear that we're the one saying this stuff.
Okay. All right. 去年のクリスマスに友達 like my next thought is, am I describing my friend's roommate here, or am I talking about my
Um,
own roommate?
we will do the latter. We'll talk about these separately.
Okay. Um, 友達
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to this in a sec.
Okay, okay.
Let's just do up until this point
Okay.
here.
All right.
The agemashita.
Gotcha. Um, roommate と プレゼント the we got ones that have like relationships with gifting.
Mm-hmm.
What are we? Is that a ni? I guess for the second one, プレゼントにあげました。
プレゼントに、ちょっと違います。
Okay.
Not quite.
All right. I identify who's receiving, right? Um,
Yeah.
roommate と I want like purely off of like what sounds
What
right
do you
to
want to
me.
put here?
I want to put ga there.
Hmm. Yeah, that would really change our sentence. We haven't really. So the thing is, we like it could, but the problem is we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about events in the third person too
Okay.
much. Um, and so if the sentence is a little bit different, if we're talking about something else, this would make sense, but not for now.
Okay. プレゼントをあげました。
But I mean, also, just out of curiosity,
Mhm.
why do you want to put a ga here?
I mean,
Like,
and
what
mostly just
what is
like
telling you that?
auditory reasons. It's one of those things where
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
it sounds right in there, and I can't necessarily justify why that is, but I'm like, I do have a
Okay.
predisposition to be like that. Feels like it would make sense there.
Gotcha.
Okay. Um, プレゼント blank. I, I guess I'm struggling with like what I am saying here, which makes it harder to
Yeah.
filter down.
Yeah. So I guess just to say it, yeah, that makes sense. So what I was originally trying to say here is like I like for last year's Christmas, I gave my friend and my roommate a present.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Cause I'm like, I don't know the relationship between like the friend and the roommate and the gift. I guess.
Yeah, that's also why I was trying to like move on and just get this last bit for now,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
like the agemashita should be what informs what we need in both of these places,
Okay.
regardless of anything happening previously.
Gotcha. Okay. In that case, we'll put like a toll between the tomodachi and the roommate, though, right?
Yeah,
They're both
yeah, that's probably the
getting
most confusing
gifts.
bit.
Um, tomodachi to roommate to, and then roommate to present to あげました。Oh, or if they're both getting this, would more make sense to be like they for two?
We wouldn't need to say that. We
Okay.
because like we're introducing this idea.
Okay.
If we were to say
Like had an
like maybe in a
additional.
separate sentence.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that makes sense. Who is receiving something?
So for just isolating on this like receiving bit,
Mhm.
what would we need to use here?
Like I'm like
for
receiving gets knees, right? But I'm like I don't know where.
Mhm. Yeah, so remember the thing that we need to keep in mind with particles
Hmm.
is that the thing that it is following, that's what it's trying to identify,
Okay.
right? So the purpose is always going to be identifying the thing right before it, right? So like in in this case the mizu o nomimasu, our nouns came before the o because we're identifying that mizu and kohi are the things that we drank, right?
Okay.
With imasen, the ga here is identifying the imoto, which we do not have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kyonen
So in
no.
this case, we're identifying, the people. They're the ones receiving the present.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on.
We can
I'm
come
in.
back to this one, but
Okay.
this one is going to be ni.
Okay. I'm like either after present or after the bundling is knee. And I was
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
because
Uh
if it followed presento, that would mean we'd be giving the something to the present,
okay.
right?
So
That
like
wouldn't
because
that
these
wouldn't
two have
work.
just been grouped together and they are now the recipient. We would put knee there.
Yeah.
Okay. Presento. What am I doing with this present?
So we're doing an action to it. We're giving it.
Okay. But wouldn't the knee already have like handled the giving, if you would? No, no, no. Because
So
the knee is where the giving
we're
is happening.
yeah, it's where it's going,
Okay,
right?
right. Um, we're doing an action to this, so we're going with
Yes.
o.
Right.
Okay. Presento o agemashita, and then this thought continues. Um, let me read the rest of the sentence.
Okay.
Um, if that makes if you're like no, no, you don't need the rest of the sentence to inform this, then I guess
Yeah, I mean, we usually have one thing that ends up going right here when it's
okay.
like following a sentence phrase,
Following a sentence phrase. Um, a
kind of like
demo?
a
Well, no, not
conjunction
demo,
of
but
sorts.
like, uh, I'm trying to think like what I would associate with a comma. Maybe I get maybe like an also.
You need to put demo in the garbage bin for now.
Okay, okay. It's away. It's gone.
you need,
Uh,
you need to stop thinking that that's what we're using for now.
okay. I guess I use
We need,
ga
but
in the
you're on the
same
track.
way as like a
Exactly.
but. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
but
Yeah. For now, we are not saying demo.
okay,
That is used somewhere else in sentences, which we have not come across.
okay. Dare agemashita ga dare. And there's an association with it. If Daremo would be like a no one, right?
Yeah. So
All
I'm gonna
right.
put that here for now.
Okay.
This one's kind of tricky, but I'll give you credit for that.
Okay. Daremo nani. If I'm well let me finish it out. Nani blank. Marai morai masen deshita. Morai
Right.
masen deshita. I is that did not receive?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No one gave me nothing is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
All right. I Daremo Nanimo? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least this one would also be mole.
Okay.
Ooh. Colors. Um. So what will be put here is will this work? Can I just okay, there we go. Um So we would actually need this compound particle here. And this is what I kind of briefly discussed, that
Okay.
there are some particles that we can replace and some that we cannot. So in this case, the nanimo is sort of replacing the o
Hmm.
in a sense. But we still want to have the ni here to identify.
The recipient relationship.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Um, so yeah, this exists with mole. The particle that you usually use, I'll say it just like this: the particle that you would usually use for said purpose will remain, and then the mole will follow it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like if we were to ask who did you give something to, you'd just say like dare ni agemashita ka, right?
Hmm.
But because we're turning it into no one, the mole will follow the ni.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
and
this is the full thing.
is that kind of relationship? Sorry, is that kind of relationship like
Hmm.
limited to knee, or will there be other particles that could go in that position of that mole in like another phrase?
Yeah, de is the other one that will largely not be replaced.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me read that out then. Um,
Yeah.
去年の um クリスマスに友達とルームメイトにプレゼントをあげましたか or あげましたが、um, 誰にも何ももらいませんでした。
Hi. Hi. So yeah, like last year's Christmas, I gave my friend and my roommate a present, but I didn't get anything from anyone.
Okay,
Sag.
sad.
Um, Similar topic of like the compound particle thing. Another thing that you'll see is that sometimes here, like this is where a wa might end up.
Okay,
Um, and it's like the knee stayed here because it's like still has that time relation identifying like when something happened, but because now this is like the topic of the conversation, um, we can just slap it on at the end. So like kyonen no Christmas ni wa, as for last year's Christmas.
okay,
That's just something that you'll probably see from time to time, and it's not anything more confusing than just the same particle meaning. It's just now we're turning this into the conversation topic.
okay.
Yeah. は
I
い。
see. I see.
OK。次、5番お
Okay.
願いします。
All right. いつも70 probably me because I feel shijiji, excuse me.
はい。はい。
Uh
7
shijiji
に、
ni shigoto, and this is a destination here, right?
あは。
Okay. Is that also ni? Is that also ni? Yes, it is.
はい。
shigoto ni kuruma de 行きます.
はい。正解です。
Okay. Woo. All right.
もう一度読んでください。
いつも1時に、仕事に車で行きます.
Yeah, it might have cut out. I heard ichi ji, but yeah, it is
Okay, yeah,
shichiji.
I think so. I want to believe I said it right.
I'll give you credit for it.
Okay.
So yeah, what is this saying?
Um, I always drive to work at 7 with my car.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I always use my car to drive to work at 7.
その通り。
All right. 日本人
Okay. Mm-hmm.
uh 日本人 blank Hashi pro- probably there's probably going to be a day here because we're talking about Japanese people doing something with chopsticks. Um,
はい。
okay. Um, Gohan probably old because we tend to eat food.
はい。正解です。
Gohan o tabemasu. Chugokujin, Chinese people. um, blank, and it'll probably be the same thing that's being used above. Um, hashi. Well, we want to say also here. Mo. Is this more complicated? Could you
Mm.
move the cursor just a bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we gave this a gohan or hashi de gohan o, and if I'm saying hashi hashi demo, no, demo's in the garbage. But also, do I still need like a like a de to stand in here to say like this is the
So
tool?
yeah. So um it is going to be de.
Okay,
Because it would it be mole here because
okay,
we're not describing that Japanese people eat with chopsticks and they also use something else.
okay,
Because like it would like if this was different, it would be awkward for like yeah, Japanese people eat meals with chopsticks. Chinese people also use their hands, right?
okay.
So the the also bit is going to probably be
Okay,
related to the
related
Chugoku
to the
chain.
group of people here. Okay, so this is
Hmm.
probably not the same particle in that case. Um, so I
Yeah, so,
guess
but this is correct here.
okay that for like Chugokujin mo, let's say for now, and if that's
I
not true, then we'll reassess. Um,
I
Nihonjin, are they the topic? Japanese people do this. I think that makes sense, right?
it seems to make sense.
Okay. Wa then. Nihonjin wa hashi de gohan o tabemasu. Chugokujin mo hashi de tabemasu.
I
Okay. All right. And
正解.
A-san and B-san are making their appearance. All right. A-san says,
Yeah, the ubiquitous A san to B
"Oh,
san.
you know them well. They're the leader of the bunch." Kono kasa, and I want to already be like this is gonna be wa, but let's hold off on that.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
I
no.
like that.
Okay. Okay. Kono kasa wa dare probably no. Um, dare no desu
Hey,
ka? Uh,
hi. So
okay.
yeah, there's the implicit kasa underneath here. We don't need that there. We can just say dare no desu ka.
Hmm.
Hi.
And I'm having a vocab hiccup because Spanish wants to take over. What is casa?
Kasa's umbrella.
Okay, umbrella. All right, I'm like it's not house. It's not. I know it's not house, but I'm still like it's house though. Kono casa wa dare no desu ka? Um, sore. I'm thinking no. Um, um, Takeshi-san. And this.
Sorry, were you saying that the you wanted to know here or here?
After reading the full sentence, I'm thinking the no goes at the end. But I
Okay.
was thinking that initially. Sono
Sore?
sore. Sorry. Sore, and I wouldn't just say casa again, right? This is a particle, not a trick, correct?
Yeah, it's just a particle.
Okay. Um, let me think. But I'm not saying also.
Yeah, you might be overthinking this one a little.
Okay. Uh, I guess it's the top. Sorewa?
I
？Okay. そ
はい、
れは、
それはたけしさんのです。
yeah. Sore wa Takashi-san no desu. All right, and we continue. Um, so desu ka? Ima doko blank imasu ka? Um, Takeshi-san blank oshiemasu kara?
はい。教えますから。
What is oshiemasu kara?
教える means to teach.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
the kata here is like saying like because.
okay. Oshiemasu kara. Like because they are teaching.
I said also no, yeah, I should mention oshieru also means to like inform. Like I'm gonna let them know.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, that helps.
Mhm.
Takeshi-san. Oh, okay. Let me reconceptualize this sentence. So desu ka? Ima doko. All right. Imasu ka? So desu ka? Ima. So now I'm
I just realized there's another use for a particle that I didn't mention. I'll need to add that after we finish this.
okay. Uh we're saying like that's so. All right, then I'll go and let them know. Is what's going on, right?
We're asking here, where are they right now?
Oh, there's a ka. Okay. Doko. Doko. Man, it's not at the tip of my tongue, but the tip of my tongue. um.
Yeah, because like otherwise, without like the review, what you should use is just mainly informed by the emas.
Okay.
So it's like what particle we've been using to notate like location when using adimas and emas.
Ni.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Doko ni imasu ka? Doko ni imasu ka? Takeshi-san. Is Asan like being like where is he? I'll go see him, or is there like a response here?
Yeah, this is saying like where is he right now? Because like I want to know
Oh,
implicitly.
okay,
Like
okay.
I want to know because I'm gonna go let him know.
I'm gonna go let
I'm
him
gonna
know.
tell
Okay,
them.
I was still thinking like,
Yeah,
oh, he's teaching right now. So in my mind, I'm reading this
yeah.
and I'm like, is Bisan saying the second sentence? But I'm like, I don't. It's not formatted like that was the case. So I had doubts. Okay. Doko ni imasu ka? Takeshi-san. Blank. Uh, he is receiving knowledge. Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
Okay. Let's put another knee there.
yeah. 正解です. And then while you read that sentence out, I'm going to be typing over here to
Okay.
include that.
この傘は誰のですか？それはたけしさんのです。そうですか。今、どこにいますか？たけしさんに教えますから。
はい。Um, 木の下にいます. Okay. Yeah, that's all that's going on there. Cool.
Okay.
は
Alright.
い. 8番.
Alright, let's see what we got. どうしてその is it
This is a ta.
okay. Ta ends in to. What do we got here?
We got a
Toireto?
boo.
Tabe
Tabu.
tableto?
はい、タブレット.
そのタブレット I want to say wa, but we'll see. ありますか? I guess that's probably enough to work on. Inanimate object, but we are talking about it, right? Um, is
Kind
there
of, yeah.
a tablet?
Yeah, this verb will be your biggest clue.
Okay. Um, arimasu. Conceptual. Ga? そのタ
はい。
ブレットがありますか? Um,
はい。どうしてそのタブレットがありますか？
どうして Um, I'm. Are
Oh,
we
yeah, どうし
asking?
て is like why.
Okay. Why is there a tablet? Is what we're asking.
Yeah, so aru can also be used depending on context to meet to like say say ownership, similar
Oh,
to
okay.
like iru for like siblings and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like yeah, like why do you have a tablet
Okay.
basically?
Gotcha. All right. Watashi. I'm gonna think no.
I like
Tanjobi.
that.
私の誕生日。誕生日。Birthdays. Place in time. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Ni then.
はい。
All right. 誕生日の or ni chichi blank もらもらいましたかライオ is that
もらいましたからよ。
karayo okay karayo um there's gifting going on here. Is that the way I should be thinking about this?
Yeah,
Someone
because we
receives
received
gifts,
it.
someone gives
Mhm.
gifts. Let's put a knee in there.
はい。はい、正解です。
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, what would this be saying?
Um
And
my
英語で、
my mom gave me this tablet for my birthday.
close.
Chichi.
This is father.
But there's a problem in my mind because I associate Chi Chi with Chi Chi from Dragon Ball, who is a mother. You see,
Oh,
uh, but
huh.
I can wrestle with that.
You know what Anya always says?
He,
Yeah, she calls him Chichi and Haha,
yeah, she does. She does. She
which I
does.
still need to watch the movie for that
You do.
soon.
You do. She does, and you do. All right.
Okay, 全部読んでください。
All right. Suyobi. Um.
すみません。
Oh, sorry,
こ
sorry,
の
sorry.
文を読んでください。
Um. 私の誕生日に父にもらいました。Ah, man, I'm stumbling here again. Uh, もらいましたからよ? This is like
はい、
the
もらいました。
mhm.
What's up?
After the mashta, like I'm I feel like I don't know where to sneak like an R sound in here, you know?
Oh. Yeah, because kata is its own thing,
Hmm.
and then yo is kind of its own thing. It's like this is the because.
Okay, karayo.
Yeah.
Okay.
もらいましたからよ。
もらいましたからよ. Okay.
OK。
All right.
9番。
水曜日. I'm thinking a knee, but I'll hold on. Um, Kuji, maybe
はい。
also a knee.
はい。に、
Um, Jo, Ju, oh no no no, Ju Ichiji ni. Um, maybe. Hold on. Kuji, Ju Ichiji.
because these are two time
Okay.
references.
There's there's one for like a duration we use, right? Like from this
From
time to
like,
this time?
yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
not exactly a particle. This is one of the few that's not
Made?
like particle adjacent. Which one where?
Um, from Made on the first one, Kara on the second?
Gyaku ni. So it'd be the opposite.
Okay,
So
shoot.
this one would be kara.
Kara from Made till?
Yeah.
Okay. Kara from Made till. Okay. Um, Kuji kara 11時 made. Um, Muzukashi. Is that right?
はい。
Okay.
難しい。
Muzukashi. Blah. Muzu. Muzukashi. Uh, and we're describing this TV program, I'm guessing.
This is a testo.
Testo. Oh, shoot. I see the te.
You see the te?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the rest comes forth. Um, Muzukashi. We're describing it. An interesting test. Uh,
Yeah, this is still difficult. You had that right.
okay.
So difficult test.
Difficult test. Adjectives. Adjectives.
Then blank
Ga.
arimasu.
Muzukashi ga testo. No. Okay.
ちょっと違います。はい。This
Arimasu.
one's kind of I
Where,
guess, a
where's
little bit of a trick question.
okay. Muzukashi testo. It just existed. We're not saying that we took this test. We're just saying there was a test.
There will be a test.
There will be a test. Okay.
Arimasu. Yeah.
Oh, from this time frame to this time frame. Okay.
Mhm.
Existence. Aru. Testo ga arimasu.
はい。正解で
Muzukashi.
す。So
Used to
for
describe
adjective
a
or
noun. Go
for
ahead.
adjectives, there's
Oh,
nothing there.
okay.
Yeah. If it was a not adjective, we would need to put a not there. If this was another noun, we would need to probably put no. But so like if it was like Nihongo no testo, right?
Okay.
That would make sense there. But with adjective specifically, you just slap that on right before the verb, or sorry, the word it modifies,
Okay.
and then you're done.
I see. Suyobi
Hey,
ni. Sorry. Suyobi ni 9時から11時まで難しいテストがあります。
はい正解で
Yeah,
す。
okay. いつ
OK, A さん。
Yeah, A sound comes in when they got a squeaky voice. いつ日本語の probably.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's his next word?
Is the last character a Sue?
Correct.
Okay. Middle character is Ra?
Mm-hmm.
So, Kurasu?
はい。
Okay.
And that's why we have a no here.
Okay. 日本語
日本語の
の
クラス。
クラスがありますか？
はい。いつ日本語のクラスがありますか？
Okay.
I should probably put a comment here.
毎週土曜日 no, excuse me.
月
Getsu. Getsu yobi. Blank. Sui. Oh, this is duration. Getsu yobi. Kara. Sui yobi. Made. maybe. Sanji ni probably or ga
はい。
because it we have arimasu. Um, Sanji
Yeah.
ni.
This is
Okay.
the time when it takes place, so we would need a ni here.
Okay.
And then like the ga would come from if we were to repeat the Nihongo no kurasu,
Okay.
because
Okay.
that's the
Okay.
object that we're that is saying that
I see.
exists, or the thing that we'll have. Yeah.
Okay. My shoe, which is this weekend. Is that my shoe?
My shoe is every week. So the
Every
my like in my Nichi.
same as my
Yeah.
Nichi. Okay.
And then shoes just the week. Yep.
Okay. My shoe Getsu Yobi. Oh, is this happening on this and this day or
Yep.
between this and this day? Okay. Um, to then.
はい。
Getsu Yobi to Sui Yobi. And this would be a time frame, correct?
Do you mean in terms of like what
Like
we did before with the kata and made?
no, 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 no. In the sense that like these 2 days represent a specific period in time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
then ni.
Yeah. はい。
Okay.
はい、読んでください。
毎週月曜日と水曜日に3時にあります。
Yeah. And I put it here. This is kind of like one of the instances where it could be more natural
Yeah.
to omit it, but just for the sake of practice, I had it there. So it'd be like,
Okay.
月曜日と水曜日3時にあります。
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
音声。
次。
きれい blank. Tori. I want to put Niku there is the problem. Uh, Doko blank. Imasu ka? We got a pretty bird.
Mm-hmm.
We're describing the bird as being pretty, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Kire no tori.
ちょっと違う。綺麗 is not a noun. It
Okay.
is a non-adjective.
Oh, okay, okay. Uh, kire ga?
Nah.
Nah. Oh, well, okay. I should have known
Because
after that bit. All right.
it's an adjective, yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, I see. Um, tori, kire na tori. Blank. Um, and we're asking where it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the pretty bird?
Um, is that more?
Why would we want it to be mole?
It's you can hear the trepidation in my voice. I'm like, more feels right, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, because we're
Okay.
not saying also.
All right, all right. Do we what do we use with the like who, what's, where's, why's?
Think about this verb.
Okay.
What do we usually
Imas.
have with imas and arimas for location?
Um.
Because we're asking like where it is, right?
Oh. Okay. Okay. The ni in that case.
Hi.
I feel like I don't associate imas with like a location. Maybe I need to start doing that.
Kind of, because we're talking about like where something is, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because like alternatively, this would be like doko desu ka? And in that case, we wouldn't need the particle,
I
but because
see.
we're using ima specifically, that's where it comes into play.
Okay. All right. In that case, tori wa.
Hi.
Okay.
はい、正解です。 はい、綺麗な鳥はどこにいますか?
All right. だいたい
Oh, I forgot to. Well, you get this sentence for free.
Okay. Oh, I see. Fortunate. だいたい神社の前にいます。神社
Right. Yeah,
shrine?
and
神社
yep.
の
Yeah, what is my?
my. This is a direction word.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in front of?
Yeah.
Okay. 前にいます。だい
Hey,
たい Well, yeah.
daitai is like generally.
All right.
This is frustratingly one of the words that I didn't learn until I got to Japan
Oh.
because I was so used to hearing like taite, and
Mm,
then instead of that being said everywhere, the only thing I heard was like daitai, and I was like, they say that a lot. What is that? I have to
mm.
figure out what that is. And I was like, oh, taite is just the formal way of saying daitai, but it's the same thing. This is just what more commonly said.
I see.
So I have now started defaulting to saying daitai.
Okay.
Daitai, daitai to iimasu.
だいたい神社の前にいます. And so I get because
Yeah, so
my
there.
mine is a direction word. It gets the knee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's describing the location because it's like in front of.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So generally, they're in front of the shrine.
All right. And like
Okay,
like in
sugi.
that
Oh,
sentence.
I.
Sorry, not to go back.
What's up?
But like generally in this case, are we saying like the birds usually like to be around here? Or are we saying the birds are around the front?
The former. It's like usually,
Okay.
generally, they're in front of the shrine.
Okay. We know these birds well. All right. All right. Obento blank 2つ blank 買いました blank みかもらいましたからたけしさん probably no 人
Mm-hmm.
あげます
Hitotsu agemasu.
1つ okay 1つ we got counting going on here. I am the count.
Mm-hmm.
um
So we'll
Obento.
start with this first chunk here.
All right. So we got like lunch, futatsu, kaima. He's buying two of something lunch related.
Yep.
Or,
So we'll look at that relationship first because it's like
okay.
obento and kaimashita. So like bought two bento boxes, right? So
Or
what would we put here?
um bought two. Does like buying something have the same kind of relationship as like receiving something?
No.
Okay.
We are doing the buying to something.
Oh, the lunch is the thing that we are buying. Okay. I'm like thinking of it as
Yes.
like a time frame, which is getting me wrong. Okay. Obento. That's right. It's got this relationship. It was bought. Um. s- Uh. お弁当
What do we
を
use? Hi. Hi.
2つ what do we do? Is it does the fact that it's a number influence what we're doing?
Um Kind of. There's just like a general rule of thumb to follow here. I can just quickly explain it. So
Okay.
because it's kind of hinted at in the last bit.
Mhm.
But the we could usually follow our like noun ol combo with the counter without needing anything else. So this one wouldn't need a particle.
Okay.
Because we've already kind of put it here. You could say uh no, this would be the easiest way of going about it. But like you can throw this in like the counter after this particle here without needing anything else. So just お弁当を2つ買いました.
Okay. And then we're continuing the sentence. Is this a but?
And also which is this? Which how many is this saying?
This is 2.
The 2つ. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then this one,
This is
the
3.
mika. Yep,
Um
that'll help inform us what
okay.
goes here.
All right. So we got some kind of comparative relationship. Mika blank morai mashita kara. He also received 3 of something.
Yeah, to make it a bit clearer,
Okay.
this will be like 私は implicit 私は.
Okay. Watashi wa obenkyou o 2つ kaimashita. I bought 2 lunches. Mika. With the Mika, does it have the same logic where we're also not putting something there because we're dealing
Hey,
with okay. All right.
yeah, and what is this just this highlighted bit saying?
Okay. Mika muraimashita.
Mm-hmm.
He bought or he received 3 of something. Lunches in this case.
Yeah, I got 3.
Oh, but okay, so he bought 2, but he got 3.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, got.
and then remember we're doing this stuff.
Okay.
So
Oops, I just
so
bumped
yeah,
into my mic.
私はお弁当を2つ買いましたが3日もらいました. Okay,
Okay.
and then the rest.
All right. Takeshi-san, blank, hito agemasu. So did he give this to Takeshi?
Yeah, we're giving one to Takeshi.
Okay. Takeshi-san. Giving. Ni? Takeshi-san ni?
はい。はい、正解です。
Okay.
OK。全部を読んでください。
はい。お弁当を2つ買いましたから、3日もらい、
ちょっと待って。
2
2つ
つ買いましたが
買いましたが、Yeah, you said から。
Oh, sorry. I probably did. 3日もらいましたから、たけしさんに人あげます。
1つ。
1つ. Okay, I was thinking about like as I said that I'm like, why is there a dude here?
Yeah, because
1つ. Okay.
yeah, what is he doing there?
He gave
はい。
him one.
Well, we're going to give him one.
Okay.
'cause That's what the implicit
Yeah.
watashi was.
I guess like
here.
he is me.
Yeah, he is you.
はい、
お弁当を2つ買い、お弁当を2つ買いましたが、3日もらいましたから、たけしさんに1つあげます。
Okay.
OK。14番お願いします。
All right. Hashi, I'm guessing there before we even get going. It was just this is what we do with the sticks. Gohan or well, actually I don't know if that's all. Ramen. Ramen's probably the O. Ramen or tabemasu.
はい。
All right.
This is
Hashi
de.
te. Okay. All right. Gohan. In this case, is Gohan rice instead of just a meal?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of it that way.
Okay. Um, Hashi de Gohan. To Gohan to.
Hey,
The problem is,
hey,
I'm like, I might eat rice with chop. Me personally, as an individual, I would probably be like, okay, yeah, rice and chopsticks. Yes, I would default to spoon for soup. So in my mind, I'm like, would you? And I'm
wait,
like,
you would eat, but ramen? You would eat ramen with a
with
spoon?
a spoon, baby. Yeah, with the shovel, put it right in there,
Why would you do that?
so it
It's
goes in my
perfect
mouth.
for literally everything else. Like
It
even a
goes
fork.
it goes in
What
my
do you,
mouth. I,
what do
I
you
shovel it
mean?
right in there, right in there.
Oh my god, you monster.
I don't know what to say. um,
I've never heard of that,
what do you
but
mean never?
by all
What do you mean
by all
never?
means. Like just a spoon?
Yeah, cause it like a soup spoon,
Cuz
like it's
I'm
liquid, right? It's like liquid with a solid. You just kind of and
but the
you shovel that
noodles
boy
are
in.
stringy and long.
Yeah, that's why you put the bowl to your lips and you get it right in there.
You just suck it up the whole thing down. All right, you don't even use a spoon at that point.
I mean,
Jeez.
like
All right.
spoon kind of optional, really. It's just to like accelerate gravity.
Oh my gosh. I wow.
All
You
right.
are an impressive
We don't gotta worry too much
impressive
about my soup
individual.
etiquette here.
Anyway,
All right. Potato. Is that what we're doing?
yeah, this is
Okay.
potato.
All right. I had the Pokemon Association, so I'm like, oh, it's a food thing with it with Pokemon sounds. Potato. Chipu?
Yeah,
No.
chipsu. Chipsu.
Chipsu. Okay. Chipsu. Yeah. Okay. Chipsu. All right, let's come back to that blank.
Okay.
Hashi de ta
I
tabemasu. What am I saying I'm also eating these with chopsticks?
yeah.
Okay. Uh what do I use for mo? Okay. It's weird that like eating potato chips with chopsticks is not the controversial part of this sentence, I think. um
It should just be the widely recognized optimal method. Because like in my mind, I'm also thinking of eating those like Doritos Takis specifically.
That's a
And
very
there's something
vivid
about like
image.
them being like cylindrical
Mhm.
chips just make it easier for me to snag with chopsticks, so I don't get my already
I
sweaty gamer
understand.
hands
My game, yeah,
coated in
you
filth.
keep those clean for the high score. Um, Tabemas. What do I? What's going on here?
Yeah, maybe the rest of the sentence will help
Okay, I was thinking like
inform what we want
I was
here.
like maybe I should be able to without it, but maybe not. Um,
Yes, but yes.
okay, it'll help. Taite. Um, te blank. Um, is this the katakana
This is
word? Is
a yeah, furai do.
oh furaido potato. Um, blank tabemas. Are we contrasting how we do treat these different types of
Mm-hmm.
potatoes? Um,
You've got it.
okay. Taite. And taite was with hands?
This is like usually.
Usually. Okay.
Yeah, this is the
Te
same as daitai.
okay. That's right. We had this conversation. Te, and this te here is talking about hands afterwards, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Te. Am I saying these potatoes I do eat with my hands?
Uh, I mean, yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think if the idea that if it's important that we're grouping potatoes. Um.
Well, not exactly,
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. Um.
I just wanted to make it clear that one thing is like potato chips and the other are like French fries.
Okay. I was like, this is like Mole gonna come in as like also these potatoes. But probably not. Te de or no, potato de tabemasu.
Potato
Fried
de?
potato de.
Are we eating using the potato chips?
No, we're eating using our hands.
Or French
Te
fries?
de then.
Hi.
Te de fried potato o tabemasu.
Hi.
Okay, and then what's going on back up
So
top?
yeah. Yeah, we're drawing there's contrast in between these two phrases here.
Oh, the I want to say demo, which means we're gonna use ga.
はい、はい、その通りです。
Okay,
はい、はい、読んでください。
hi. Hashi de go or yeah, yeah, gohan to ramen o tabemasu. ポテトチップも箸で食べますか？食べます。食べますが、excuse me.
はい。
炊いて手で、what was, this is fried?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
フライドポテトを食べます。
はい、はい、正解。箸でご飯とラーメンを食べます。ポテトチップスも箸で食べますが、大抵手でフライドポテトを食べます。
炊いて手で has a rhythm to it.
大抵手で、yeah.
炊いて手で um, all right. Let me check time right quick because I'm
Yeah,
supposed to get out of here in about 15 minutes. Um.
okay. We
Okay.
can, if we need to skip 16, all good. I just want to do 15 and 17 at the very least.
All right. All right. I can commit to
And
that.
if we just want to blow through these,
Yeah.
we
Let's see what
can.
we can do. Uh. 誕生日 uh ni maybe 姉が um プレゼン
We'll get
ト
there. Chiketto?
チケット I saw the toe and birthdays. Um チケット blank 2枚 blank もらいましたから
Yeah, so
let's
we'll
yeah
just
let's
work with
chunk
this
this.
bit for now.
Yeah. 誕生日 um you got a ticket from your sister on your birthday. What
Hmm.
is the Nimai doing?
Yeah, so this is the counter.
Okay,
So it's we got 2
we
tickets.
got 2 tickets. Okay, um, and this is the flat object counter.
Hmm.
Okay, Nimai. There was something that we used generally when counter showed up, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Or lack thereof.
Oh, nothing, nothing. um. Okay.
So we have our time, we have the person we're receiving something from, and we have the thing we received.
Okay. Uh, we are receiving ane hold on. We would use o on the object being received, correct?
はい。はい、
Okay.
正解。
chike to o nimai.
Sorry, I hit my mic.
Okay,
はい。
okay. All right. Um
もらいました. So yeah, we have our time and we have the person
All
who
right.
we
For
are receiving from.
the time, are we putting ni there?
はい、
Okay.
そうですね。
Uh, and the person giving gives us a ni as well.
はい、
Okay.
はい、正解です。誕生日に姉にチケットを2枚もらいましたから、OK。
Doyobi, also potentially a ni.
はい。
一緒に 映画 and probably an o mimasenka. Because we're inviting a homie out to see this movie since we have 2 tickets.
はい。正解。OK、読んでください。
はい。誕生日に、姉にチケットを、2枚もらいましたから、土曜日に一緒に映画を見ませんか？
もらいました。But yeah, that is
も
correct.
らい
はい。
ました。
はい、誕生日に姉にチケットを2枚もらいましたから、土曜日に一緒に映画を見ませんか？
はいはいはい。あ、
And then,
いいですね。行きましょう。Sounds good. Let's
はい。
do it.
OK.
All right.
If we need to cut it off at this last one, we can, but we'll see.
I'm feeling the rhythm. I'm feeling the rhyme. Let's go. 土曜日で日本語、
ちょっと待って。
どうしてどうして
Gotta read with your eyes, not your soul. I'm sorry. I
I'm
want you to,
sorry, I'm
but
sorry. uh, 日本語、blank わかりますか？どうして日本語 why do you understand Japanese? What am I doing anything there? Oh, there's an O.
Yeah,
It's an
we're doing
O.
something. Yeah, this is just one of the ones. It's ga.
God, shoot.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry, bud.
it's okay. It's okay. Uh, it is a ga. Are we using
Yeah, that's that whole
Japanese as?
sentence.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know, I'm just saying that's the whole sentence there, right? But what was your
Yeah.
question?
No, I'm trying to sort out why it's a ga. Um.
Yeah, this is wakaru. Is this one of those conceptual words?
Uh. Okay. I see. I got you.
Otherwise, just need to filter it in your brain. It's just a verb we use ga with.
Okay. All right. Conceptual understanding. Okay. 毎日、友達1時、1時間、ぐらい、blank, 勉強しますから。Alright. Because every day, 毎日に毎日に
This is a general time, so we wouldn't
General
need
time.
anything here.
Okay, nothing at all.
Hi.
Alright. I was like, it is either ni or it gets none. 友達1時間 because every day my friend for an hour about an hour
Mm-hmm.
uh we study together. The shimaskara is togetherness kind of part of that, or is it more like we do
No,
this?
kata is the explanatory. So like this is because.
Okay. Okay. In my mind I think ishoni was somehow incepted in there, but it hasn't. It's not here.
We
Tomodachi.
do need something to say like, yeah, some kind of together or with.
Yeah. Would I would I use the would I use to for with?
Hi.
Okay. I was like,
Hi.
because I we had the like conversation. I'm like, it's not and it's not exclusively and it has other uses
Mhm.
too. Ichiji kan gurai about Ichiji. Would I still use ni for time here?
Nope, we don't need a particle here.
Okay. All right, get it out of
And
me.
like, yeah. And that's a sentence.
Okay.
そう、どうして日本語がわかりますか？ブラフさん、どうして？
Um, 毎日友達と1時間ぐらい勉強しますから。
そうですね。
It's true. It's true.
I'll quickly run through this last one.
Okay.
It's pretty short too. So it'd be like, これは日本語で何ですか? This is just I couldn't find a better way of including this use of like this form
Oh,
de.
the
So
language one.
yeah, it's just straight up how we've been using it without really any changes there.
Mm-hmm.
あ、それは修正テープですよ. And I was like,
Well,
I don't really have another better word to
the
bring
correction
up.
tape.
So yeah, the correction tape.
Sometimes correction
Um,
is needed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So, one thing to note is that like this is a pretty good variety of sentences. Just once again, kind of showcasing how much we are able to say, how much we're able to explain, how much we're able to describe things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty interesting that we've only been doing this for a couple months, but there's a lot of ideas being expressed. So we are making progress.
It is a good
Um,
reminder to keep oneself from the emotional dumps when looking at how much there is left
mhm.
to learn.
Exactly. It's very easy to like be studying for a while and you try and, engage with some kind of Japanese media and being like, I can't understand anything. What's
Mm-hmm.
the point? And it's like, well, it's a process. It's a long burn, but that doesn't mean you already can't say a bunch of stuff.
All right.
And then yeah, just keep it in mind that all of our particles here are following the thing it's identifying, like the purpose of it. If we just keep that locked in, we keep on practicing, this will be pretty second nature by the end of it. So,
All right. In that case,
よくできました.
thank
Well done.
thank you, Jimmy, for the assistance for our Nihongo resistance.
I like that. I like that a lot. いいえ、どういたしまして。But yeah, we'll call it here and
All
we'll
right.
continue next episode,
Yeah.
recording, whatever.
All right. Thank you again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.